want to talk about something I see in so many parents, especially mums, that can quietly drain their confidence and their connection with their children, and that is shame. I'm Emma, I'm the creator of DYF Parents, and today I'm going to explore what shame really is, how it shows up in parenting moments, and how you can begin moving from shame into an inner strength that supports both you and your child. Now, let's start with some real life parenting moments and see if any of these feel familiar. Let's say you've had a really long day and your child bursts into tears for the 8th time that day, and before you can think, you snap at them. Or let's say you're at the playground, everyone's fine, playing quite happily, but then another child comes along and pushes your child, and instead of stepping in, you bundle them away quickly without saying anything. Maybe later that day, you hide in the bathroom for just 5 minutes on your phone, but it turns into 15 or 20 minutes and you feel awful when you come out. Or perhaps you're visiting relatives and your child starts shouting angrily and you immediately apologize for your child, even though at home you'd normally let them work through their feelings at their own pace in a calm, accepting environment. Now, all of these moments are different on the surface. But they are all actually survival responses. Fight when you snap, flight when you rush away from the playground without stepping in, freeze, hiding in the bathroom, scrolling, numbing out, or fawning, people pleasing, when you're apologizing to your relatives for your child's behavior, even though normally you'd accommodate your child differently. And these moments have something else in common. Often when they happen, you might come away thinking, I really didn't show up how I wanted to there. And almost instantly, shame starts creeping in. Now, it's important to be able to separate guilt and shame. So guilt says, I did something bad. And honestly, it feels so awful, but it gives you that nudge to motivate you to make things better. But where guilt says, I did something bad, shame says, I am bad. It's a judgment of who you are. It's a judgment of your worth. And instead of moving you to make things better, it often locks you into withdrawing or suppressing or abandoning yourself. And shame often rides in on the back of our nervous system survival responses, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And when you react from a survival response, it's not something you choose, right? It's not a moral failing. It's automatic. You have no control over it. Your nervous system kicks into action and your body is stepping in to protect you when your nervous system perceives a threat. Now, I heard an amazing quote about shame recently, and I want to share it here, which is, shame is trying to fit into a system that doesn't accept your needs. In parenting, that system can be cultural messaging or family patterns, or even our own internalized ideal of the perfect mum. And when that system says a good mother always puts her child first, and your reality is you do have needs, every moment you honor yourself can end up being twisted into a perceived failing. Now, when shame takes over, two really big things happen. Because when you are in that moment of shame, it feels so painful and you can feel very, very vulnerable. And it's often too much for us, for our system. And so an unconscious process takes over to protect us from that painful vulnerability. And we can end up becoming defensive or shutting down. Now, the tricky thing is, as a parent, when you lock your own vulnerability away, you can't really meet your child's vulnerability. But the paradox is that your survival response in that moment might actually have been the least harmful choice available. But the feeling of shame reframes it as proof that you're not good enough. And that further chips away at your self-confidence and makes repair even harder. So how do you move from shame to strength? Well, here are 4 steps. First of all, name the survival response. Was it fight, flight, freeze, or fawn? And know that any of these are automatic. Once it's happened, you know, there's very little you can do about it except just soothe yourself in the moment. And you certainly didn't choose to make that happen in the first place. Just tell yourself, this is what my body has done for me as a protection mechanism. Now, step 2, bring in some self-compassion. Remind yourself, yeah, I don't like how I showed up, but I'm still a loving and committed mother, and I will always keep trying. Step 3, I want you to think about your personal needs as valid, because no matter what cultural conditioning says, your individual needs matter, full stop. But also thinking about how you parent, when you meet your needs, you actually get to show up for your children even more effectively. And step 4, choose one small act of reconnection to yourself first and then to your child. So for me, in the early years, that sometimes meant sitting myself on the bottom step for a mummy timeout. And I would soothe my nervous system. I'd use touch and I'd use breathing. And I'd tell myself encouraging words, being kind to myself, reminding myself that I'm doing the best I can and I'm learning about my own reactions. You know, and through soothing my nervous system, imagining people around me to encourage me, it helped me connect with myself and my deeper purpose before rejoining my child. Now, for me, I didn't really have a ready-made support system for this whole parenting journey, and often had to figure out particularly my own emotional reactions by myself as I went along. But I did have the advantage of training as a counsellor and my own personal therapy. And I also sought out podcasts and books and online communities that helped me understand my emotions and my nervous system. And every time I practiced meeting myself with care, I built my capacity to be present for my child. And now I can offer them a level of understanding that I was able to create for myself. So strength doesn't mean never feeling shame. It still happens. It means meeting it with compassion and moving through it in a way that fits with your values. So my message today is that shame isn't a weakness. It's a survival pattern. You can break the cycle of shame by recognizing it, naming it, and gently soothing yourself so that you can show up again in a way that feels right for you. If you want to explore more about repair after tricky moments, especially when anger's been part of it, watch last week's video. These two really work well together. And if you want to go deeper into understanding your child's nervous system while meeting your own needs, download my free guide, 5 Tiny Shifts to Help Your Child Feel Safer. You'll find the link in the description.